when your work was then taken up as art, or when you were introduced in this way to the art world, the art business, could you describe in any way in what way that? I mean, I don't want to. It isn't just a matter of intention, but it's an interesting aspect of these things to ask the question. In what way your intention or your understanding of your own activity changed, or did you continue to basically try to seduce or follow?
Well, that was already taken care of.
Right. So you bought some work before you had shown the work?
No, I showed before I realized anything, because I was just finishing to have people in my bed that I showed it the next month, so that was immediate. I entered the...
Did you buy that work?
Yeah. He bought that work and then others, but he bought that work, or liked it at least. I mean,
So could you say a bit about what changed?
Well, not that much, because I don't think it changed the fact that I had to be more precise about what it looks like. The first, when I did the sleeper sleeping in my bed, maybe I was not rigorous enough when I took the photo. I didn't take them from the same place, or I didn't, but already I was quite serious, but I was not as rigorous that I could become when you just know what's going to happen. But except that little detail, still I do a lot of projects which are linked to my life, which are therapeutical, or about which I don't know if I'm going to use them or no later. So there is still, it's never, in an idea like the bronze or that the stolen painting, obviously I know what it's for, and it's because it's a command, I would say, when you are asked to do something. But when it is like the work which is here, for example, in the show called Exquisite Pain, it's a story that happened 18 years ago. I suffered a lot because of the departure of a man. I was at the time finishing a very exotic trip through China, Russia, Japan, and he left me in a way that seemed dramatic to me. I could point out the moment he left me as being the most unhappy of my life, and I was quite amazed of being able to spot and say, I have never suffered as much that at this precise place, with that wallpaper on the wall, with that music playing, and with that dress on. And the idea of being able to do this was quite fascinating. Secondly, when I suffered that much, I was alone in India. Immediately my first movement was not to stay alone, because I was afraid of what I may do if I was staying alone. So I immediately looked in the phone book in India who could talk to me, because at the time I had no money to call friends, and it was complicated. Just to have a line for friends was 8 hours. So I looked and I found a France Presse agency, Agence France Presse, in the phone book, and I asked to speak with the director. And I went to see him in New Delhi, and I just said, the man I love left me, and I went to his office, asked for an appointment, and I said, the man I love left me, it happened like that and like that. Please don't leave me alone. And the man said, okay, and took me to his family, his wife, 3 children in New Delhi. And I realized, so immediately the fact of telling what had happened helped me. So I put those things together. I came back to France 4 days later, and I decided, I really thought, what can I do to suffer less? So there was, where it's not as genuine is that I always know now that I may use it someday. So it's not totally genuine, but in the same time, my main concern was not at all to produce a work of art. My main concern was, how do I suffer less? So I thought that to suffer less, I had to keep telling my story until exhaustion and until disgust. I thought that if I was telling every day, non-stop, to everybody, everywhere, how the man I love left me, after a while I would just be disgusted by my own story. I would exhaust it. And I was not sure it would work, but I thought so. In the same time, I thought that if I was asking to people to tell me what was the most unhappy moment of their life, it would, if you say, the man I love left me, and the guy tells you he's lost his wife, 3 children, while his house was burning, suddenly it's relativize your poor little story. So I thought that I would do this until the day I would wake up, or disgusted by my story, or ashamed by comparison to other people. And it did work after 3 months when I thought I would suffer forever, as you think when you are younger. After 3 months, I woke up and I was perfectly well. So it had worked so well that I thought it was dangerous to use it, just to say how much the therapeutical aspect was the one that interested me at the time. So I just put this in a drawer, thinking I'm too fragile still to use it. I'll use it when I'm sure this man means nothing to me. And 2-3 years later, when I was totally cured and I thought it was time to use it, well, another project had come up, and I kept the project on the side, and it became like a safety against the lack of ID. I realized it was amazing to have a project on the side, like that every time I had no idea, I would say, oh, it's okay, I have exquisite pen to do. So I really loved that kind of safety belt against emptiness. And it took me 18 years finally to finalize it and to show it, and I finalized it last year. So just to say that I'm sure I knew I would do something one day with it, but it was not that clear. There is another project I did like that I was always afraid on my birthday. I was always afraid to be forgotten, people would. And I also thought that when people give you something, you wear them. If it's a pair of shoes, 2 years after they are destroyed, you put them in the garbage, and here goes the proof of love that they represented. So I decided to do for my birthday every year, a dinner with exactly the number of people I knew, plus one guest representing my future. And I never touched the gifts they brought me. I put them in boxes, looked at them, but never used them. So after 15 years, I had like 15 boxes. And if I was depressed, 3 months later, I could open the gift of 1984 and just here they were, and, like Christmas.